I'm Jackson Stanky, and this is my practical video assignment for applied movement mechanics through Nate. So I'm going to go over movement patterns, exercise, and planes and axes. So first we're going to start with the shoulder joint. Do some straight arm raises. We're abducting on the way up and adducting as we go down. And this happens in the sagittal plane and the medial lateral axis. Next, we're going to go over the lumbar spine. We're going to do a dumbbell side bend, which is going to demonstrate lateral flexion. So I'm going to grab a weight and just do a dumbbell side bend. And the dumbbell side bend happens in the frontal plane and the anterior-posterior axis. Next, I'm going to go over the shoulder girdle. So I'm going to be doing some push-ups. I'm going to do it against the wall so it makes it a little bit easier to see what I'm explaining. So I'm going to go ahead and turn around. So we're going to go over protraction and retraction of the shoulder girdle. So at the very top, the shoulder girdle is protracted. And then as I go down, it retracts. So protraction, retraction of the shoulder girdle. And this happens in the frontal plane and the anterior-posterior axis. Next, I'm going to show you flexion and extension of the knee. So I'll do butt kicks, but I'm going to turn sideways here so you can see a little bit better. So right now, my knee is extended. And then as I move my leg up to do like a butt kick, it would be flexed. So butt kicks happen fairly fast. So it's constant flexion and then extension. And that happens in the sagittal plane and the medial lateral axis. The last one I'm going to show you is the hip, and I'm going to show you medial and lateral rotation. So for this, it's just going to do a stretch that I like to do sometimes before a run or something. So you bring your knee up to about 90 degrees, and if you go to the side, that is going to laterally rotate the hip, and then as you go in, it medially rotates. So laterally rotates, medially rotates. And that's in the transverse plane and the longitudinal axis. So now I'm just going to explain tensegrity using this tensegrity model that I made. It'll come a little bit closer so you can see it. So I made it out of some dowels, some rubber bands, and then I kind of just used tape. I had to notch these myself. But so tensegrity, when you see this, if you move something, it all kind of moves. And none of the dowels are connected to each other. They're all connected to these rubber bands, which are then connected to the other dowels. So the way tensegrity works is that everything is kind of connected to each other. So if you move one piece, it affects the whole rest of the structure. And our bodies are like that in a way that as we stand, if one part is exerting more or less weight than the other one, then the whole structure shifts to accompany that. And the same thing with walking. As you take a step, the whole structure will move and adjust so that you can walk. And that's tensegrity to me. It's just basically that everything works together, and something that happens to one thing will affect the rest of the structure.